Dear students, welcome to today's session on the Gandhian perspective on the crisis of Indian secularism. In the context of secularism, we are discussing the significance of secularism, secularization and theories of secularism, and then we discussed secularism in the Indian context. With this knowledge of secularism, in our 13th week class, we are discussing secularism specifically in the Indian context and how the Indian national leaders viewed secularism and with particular reference with Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru. T. N. Madan, in his book on Modern Myths, Locked Minds, extensively discusses secularism and fundamentalism in India. In his work, Madan stated that M. K. Gandhi is sometimes thought of as a spiritual father of Indian secularism, despite the fact that he is clearly not a secularist in the common Western sense of the term. This statement states that the idea of secularism from the Gandhian perspective is significant in the Indian context. Gandhi, the father of our nation, has influenced Indians to a great extent and has guided us toward the journey of freedom and independence. His views have always provided insights into the different aspects of socio-cultural life also. Gandhi's views on secularism are quite significant in the history of Indian social thought and analysis. Gandhi considered all human beings are equal. He was basically a secularist. He did not believe in man-made divisions of caste and religion and believed that the goal of all religions should be to bind people together rather than divide them. In this module, the students can know the Gandhian views on religion and Gandhi's secularism and how it is different from other perspectives. Gandhi studied all religions in detail and through his thorough understanding, he arrived at a composite understanding of religion and God as a whole. This holistic understanding led Gandhi to adapt and preach a theory of tolerance and mutual respect founded on truth and maintenance of non-violence. He considered religion as fundamental and the source of worldly goals and actions, and it was concerned only with individuals' behavior and not their beliefs. It was not real and active faith and not sticking to the age-old customary practices. He was also affected by the caste-based social structure that India followed from time immemorial, particularly the curse of untouchability, which to Gandhi was the greatest sin of all because it not only spelt discrimination but debased a particular section of mankind on an occupational basis. He felt Indian society was weakened at its very core and embarked on a fight against discrimination. Now we can see Gandhi's view on religion. Gandhi's political philosophy was deliberated by Bihut Parekh extensively in his work on Gandhi's political philosophy. In that, he cited Gandhi's view towards religion in his own words. For Gandhi, religion represented the way human beings conceived and related to God. Since he postulated both impersonal and personal conceptions of God, he distinguished between two different levels of religion. The first one is formal, customary, organized or historical religions centered on the personal level. The second one is the pure, true or eternal religion, which is at the level of impersonal to that of God. For Gandhi, Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism, Islam and other religions were all based on specific conceptions of a personal God. They evolved distinct forms of prayer, worship, rituals and beliefs about his nature and relation to the world and were all sectarian, while explaining the pure or true religion lay beyond them, which do not have things like organization, beliefs and rituals. It believes that the universe was pervaded and governed by cosmic power, and the decision to organize one's entire life accordingly represented the purest form of spirituality. Prayer here consisted not in asking for favors in this world or the next, but in affirming and activating the divine within oneself. The true or pure religion transcends but does not supersede organized religions and constitutes their common basis and connecting link. Gandhi made a clear distinction between God and religion. Gandhi's vision of religion is holistic and considered as the value for judging the worth of all worldly goals and action. For him, they were fundamentally different entities and could at best address each other and could never come on a common platform. The reason for this, he stated that God was perfect and religion, being man's humble attempt at understanding this divine perfection, was necessarily imperfect. Gandhi believed God is one and he equated God with love and truth. However, for him, leading a godly life was more important than debating about the true nature of God. The poor and the downtrodden were for Gandhi the living representatives of God on earth, and even a little work for their enhancement was more pious act than performing 1,000 rituals by spending millions. The influence of a number of religions can be seen in Gandhi's understanding of God. Gandhi read the scriptures and doctrines of all major world religions with great interest and finally arrived at the conclusion that they are all more or less the same. The phrase more or less was a term he systematically used because he thought that no religion could grasp God in its entirety. They were all equal in their imperfection, which is why Gandhi never foresaw a future where there will be a single religion preaching a single God. He knew that geographic, climatic and demographic conditions influenced the way the inhabitants of a region envision God, and there can never be a single way in which God will be understood because these conditions will never be the same across the world. For Gandhi, that was not even that important. In Hind Swaraj, Gandhi expressed his view eloquently when he said, religions are different roads converging to the same point. What does it matter that we take different roads so long as we reach the same goal? In reality, there are as many religions as there are individuals. Gandhi said that as a Hindu, he was a heir to Hinduism, rich and ancient heritage. As an Indian, he was a privileged inheritor of India's diverse religious and cultural traditions. Despite his belief in one God, Gandhi never entertained any hope of a single world or single world that would be a fantasy. Gandhi believed this fantasy to be not only simplistic but potentially dangerous as well, as it could lead to various coercive measures to circumvent people to it. His pointed criticism triggered against the missionary practices introduced by the British has its origin in the same belief. Gandhi upheld tolerance and had a lasting faith in the non-violent coexistence of all religious schools. Gandhi was critical of the thought of tolerance as he thought it was patronizing, as if the one who uses it has a firm belief in the superiority of his own faith and was magnanimous enough to allow other faiths to coexist under his confirmed superiority. This to Gandhi was an error. His particular brand of secularism was based on the mutual respect. He believed they were branches of the same majestic tree. Gandhi believed all religions ultimately described only attributes of God, but never his being. It was the fault of the limitation of human understanding and imagination, and not of any particular faith. Religious practices for Gandhi were equally vacuous, it not meant for the general good and betterment of the society. Leading a humble life with a strong belief in God was more of a religious duty for Gandhi than undertaking rituals. He put great stress on prayer, non-violence and celibacy as ways of spiritual enlightenment, and believed that salvation was the ultimate goal of life. Mahatma Gandhi was highly grieved about the caste system that characterized Indian society, but it was untouchability that particularly pained him. All his life he worked hard at eradicating this heinous practice from its very roots. He drew a sharp distinction between caste and varna. Varna was based on profession, and in present day India, wrote Gandhi, there is no other trace of varnashrama, as they are easily interchangeable and are actually interchanged at times, except for the varna of the Shudra. Their plight continued uninterrupted from ancient times. Gandhi thought the caste system to be a social evil, but untouchability was a sin. All his life, Gandhi worked for the untouchables. In fact, in one of his letters, Gandhi elevated the Bangis or the night soil cleaners as the very epitome of service to God, as they do their unclean work and cleanse society of its perils and receive nothing but shame and abomination for it. Every man thought Gandhi should find a lesson in it. They should dispense their service to society and expect no reward in return. That would be the greatest service to God. Now we can see Gandhi's specific view on secularism. Gandhi's secular theories took on a special significance in the particular context of the Indian national movement. Indian society has been traditionally plagued by the evils of caste and creed-based discrimination. The caste-oriented stratification of Indian society has hindered all chances of national unification from the early days of Indian society. The situation was complicated by the presence of various religious groups within the country who were not ready to compromise any ground to reach a platform of commonality. The traditional rhetoric of the religious and the self-styled spiritual preachers fueled these divisions more often than not. It was a great pain for Gandhi that India's age-old tradition of religious tolerance was not being maintained when it was more needed. What particularly disturbed him was the realization that it would be impossible to organize any nationwide movement against the common opposition of the British oppressors if society continues to remain divided on religious grounds. Secularism for Gandhi was an absolute necessity to bring about any form of the constructive and all-encompassing political movement. Gandhi preached his ideals of secularism and religious tolerance across length and breadth of the country. He showed his consolidation to the Muslim leaders through the support that Congress extended to the Caliphate movement. Gandhi wrote extensively on the need for secularism in India and made speeches to the same effect all over the country. It was not the easiest of tasks for Gandhi. The British were bent on implementing the policy of divide and rule, and he took its worst formed after the declaration of separate elections for the different communities in the Declaration of Government of India Act in 1935. Indian national movement has always been plagued by communal tensions and haunted it till the very end. Gandhi's monumental efforts at bringing together the various communities in India were not fully realized. The British policy of divide and rule had its effects, and their demand for a separate Muslim nation was fast gaining currency. Gandhi was hurt, but he realized his helplessness. Even during the intense riots on the eve of Indian independence, Gandhi was on the roads trying to unite the warring communal factions. Even his death can in many ways be related to his lifelong commitment to secular principles. Although Mahatma Gandhi derived strength from a sense of faith, he supported the idea of secular state. And while he did not a priori exclude or reject faith, he stood committed to applying the test of reason even to religious scriptures. By religion, Gandhi did not mean any conventional religion, but the religion which is at the root of all religion, and that is fundamental religion, harmonizes the historical religions and makes them valid. He explained further that just as a tree has one trunk but many branches and leaves, so there is one true and perfect religion, although it is divided into many as it appears through a human intermediary. Gandhi reiterated that God is truth and truth is God. It was interpreted that he did this not only because of his experience in his search for God and adherence to truth, but also to unite all Indians as the difference of religions posed a major obstacle towards achieving independence. This was meant to be a psychological appeal to all, including atheists, so as not to divide on the basis of ideology. Gandhi's firm conviction that all religions lead to one God is based on his findings of all good and virtuous traits almost similar in nature in different religions. For Gandhi, attributed the personal dimension to religion, for personal faith enable one to achieve perfection in the practice of one's own religion. Secondly, Gandhi did not attach any ritualistic importance to religion so as to suit different individuals in their approach to attaining God. Individuals should also enrich themselves by reading scriptures of others' faith and religion in order to foster unity and understanding among all. But without ethical and truthful angles, religion, however perfect a man may try to follow, serves no purpose in his self-realization, for it blinds the man to any moral aspect which is not only essential for one's own spiritual process, one's own spiritual progress, but also in the service to others. All religions, their scriptures and values are of equal importance to segregate them and the claim of superiority. Gandhi said it is not only deceitful but also deplorable. As he said, in God's house there are many mansions and they are equally holy. Gandhi's religion is essentially a universal religion, devoid of customs, superstitions and irrational giving. For him, truth and non-violence were the ultimate forms of unity of mankind. He denied being christened as a saint, yogi or ascetic, and described himself as the seeker of truth, the ultimate eternal truth. It had nothing to do with theology, as Bihu Parekh put, which over intellectualized religion. True or pure religion to him transcends but does not supersede organized religions and constitutes their common basis and connecting link. In today's world of religious disharmony, it is apt to recollect Gandhi's words, that is, the need of the moment is not one religion, but mutual respect and tolerance of the devotees of the different religions. We want to reach not the dead level, but unity in diversity. An attempt to root out traditions, effects of hereditary, climate and other surroundings is not only bound to fall, but is a sacrilege. The soul of religion is one, but it is encased in a multitude of forms. The latter will persist to the end of the time. Wise men will ignore the outward crust and see the same soul living under a variety of crusts. Gandhi's idea of religion as a personal concern was clearly differentiated from religion as a daily affair. As Gandhi said, religion has to be lived every moment of one's life, and such religion would entitle the potential to dominate the world. Gandhi's secularism had no relation to the kind of secularism that does not involve an element of deep individual pursuit of one's religion or duty. At the same time, Gandhi's secularism was not at all close to theocracy, which forces a particular religious view to external pressure. Gandhi's metaphysical concept of Atma was the only fundamental principle behind his idea of secularism. He believed that when an individual thoroughly realized his or her own Atma, it would be united together with other people's Atmas. Further, while Parekh discussed Gandhi's secularism, he stated that Gandhi claimed that the state should be secular. In his context of secular, it should not enforce, institutionalize, patronize or financially support one or more religions. Gandhi considered religion as a personal choice, but it was not a private issue. In that context, Gandhi related the institutions of religion and politics, and because of its profound social and political implications, religious discussions have a legitimate position in politics. Even though religion should have a respectable public presence and offer a unique contribution to how public affairs are conducted, for Gandhi, the institutions of the state were in no way to be connected with religion. The interest of the state was secular and worldly interest, but the aspects of spirituality and soul are taken care of by the individual and the society. For Gandhi, the spirit of reverence, broad-mindedness and tolerance are to be taught at the schools through religious education, where he believed that the values imparted through this education would create religious harmony and foster a climate of moral self-discipline, not diminish the state's commitment to secularism. Gandhi's secularism during his last years, which emphasized the separation of religion from the state or politics, was not itself the end of his thought. Instead, the individualization, personalization of religion restated in his secularism was the means method to realize the one God in the secular world. By defending religious individualization, Gandhi implicitly included the embodied meaning of the search for Atma. Gandhi felt that a large part of the responsibility for maintaining communal harmony lies with communities themselves. But there are times when this communally sustained harmony is distributed, even breaks down. When this happens, the state has to step in. And for this to be possible, it cannot already be aligned to any one religion, but must be distant from all. Secularism then marks certain compartment of the state whereby it distances itself from all religio-philosophical perspective in order to promote a certain quality of sociability and fraternity between communities. To sum up, in this module, we discussed the views of Gandhi on religion, and in that backdrop, we discussed his perception of secularism. Secularism and religion in Gandhian view and their significance in individual's life and how they are different in the state affair are discussed. For Gandhi, secularism designates a particular state behavior in which it disassociates itself from all religio-philosophical viewpoints in order to foster a specific level of sociability and fraternity across populations. This makes Gandhian secularism distinctive. Unlike modern Western secularism that separates church and state for the sake of individual freedom and equality and have a place for neither community nor fraternity, the Gandhian conception demands that the state be secular for the sake of better relationship between members of all religious communities, especially if they are mutually estranged. The Gandhian conception of indispensable in times of religious disharmony. Thank you.